What's up, everyone? I'm Dr. Mike Merck with the Specific Chiropractic Centers Lake Country, and going off of a couple videos ago when we went over chiropractic and autism and more so dysautonomia, what I want to go over today is how does that stuff start to happen even at all? And it can really start to happen with your pregnancy. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but it really can, regarding the food you eat, regarding how you are, and a lot of that stuff can affect your baby and development and that. But more importantly, what can affect it is birth. And there's a ton of strain put on the tiny neck and the neck area during birth, whether it's a C-section delivery or a natural delivery. I know there's been studies done in the past where it looks at like a ton of cases, and like 70 to 80% have trauma in the neck area or minor trauma in the neck area, which can cause some of the stuff that's going on. But what about this dysautonomia stuff, or like sympathetic fight or flight dominance? Like, how can that really play a role in it? And something I want to go over today, and something we go over in the workshop called Unraveling Neurodevelopmental and Behavioral Disorders, is C-section delivery. And I know that sounds weird, and I think in today's day and age, a lot of people think that's like a safer way to go about things, but it's actually not. And we have to remember that when the baby goes through the birth canal and all that stuff, there's a ton of good bacteria through there, and it's really important that they're exposed to that. Now, obviously, during a C-section delivery, that doesn't happen. So that exposure to that bacteria doesn't necessarily happen, which means that our gut and all this bacteria inside of our gut, which we talked about a couple weeks ago, isn't developing and forming how it's supposed to. So I know there's some doctors that if they do a C-section delivery, what they'll do is they will actually swab the birth canal and then swab it inside the baby's mouth, so they are exposed to all that good bacteria and whatnot. But there's a lot that don't. So suddenly what happens is we have this bacteria mix-up, and the bacteria isn't really where it's supposed to be, and then the body starts absorbing things that it's not supposed to be, and that puts the body into this fight or flight or sympathetic dominant state, making it really hard to kind of escape that, because it's something that we don't necessarily know even happened, especially if you have, say, a C-section birth and then you don't have the ability to breastfeed. Then they're missing out on all the good bacteria from the breast milk as well. So it's kind of like a double whammy right there. And it's something that I just kind of wanted to talk to you guys about, because I see it all the time in my office. And it's something that we just overlook as a society. It's something that a lot of times we're not checking for, and we're not checking for any potential misalignments of these top two bones in the neck when we do have delivery. Just because a baby was just born, it's a huge deal. There's a bunch of other stuff we got to check, and we're just not checking for that sort of thing. Now, if this does speak to you and it's something that you know your child struggles with, or you struggle with, there's a ton of different ways you can go about it and balancing all that. I always suggest the book. It's called Gut and Psychology Syndrome, and it talks about what's called the GAPS diet. It's a good way to really get this gut bacteria back to how it's supposed to be. It retrains everything and whatnot. Another way of going about things is to look into a nutritionist. I always suggest Amanda over at Integrative Health and Wellness in Brookfield, right off of Capitol Drive. She does a really great job, really in-depth, does blood work testing, and isn't huge on pushing supplements, is a lot bigger on you eating what you're supposed to eat and getting your nutrients from the foods rather than the supplements. And I think that's really beneficial. And then obviously what we do at the Specific Chiropractic Centers in regards to checking the nervous system and making sure that it's working how it's supposed to, we have to remember that if we do one of these detoxes or something like that and the nervous system in the body isn't working how it's supposed to, then we could potentially go backwards, because the system isn't working how it's supposed to. We could be ultra sensitive to something, or we could just be chronically stuck in this fight or flight stage, which makes it really hard for the body to retrain everything. And what we do at the Specific Chiropractic Centers is bring that body back into a parasympathetic or resting and digesting state. And with that, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to start watching our Specifically Speaking videos on Monday. It's a Facebook Live, and we're going to start doing a case of the week on there, which we're really excited about. We're going to start giving out prizes live. In order to win the prizes, those are going to be at around 6:30 every single Monday. And if you don't get the question right, then that prize just rolls over to the following week. So 3, 4, 5 weeks into this thing, we might have a giant prize or a bunch of money that you could win. So who knows? But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next week.